Hey, this is Therese Skelly, and I'm thrilled to have you meet Dorothy Pang. I have known Dorothy for a number of years. I've been helping her to grow her business, and who she is and how she shows up, the amazing gifts and talents she has is just stunning. So tell us about you. Like, tell us where you are, what kind of work you do. Start there.
Okay. Most of the time I'm an acupuncturist in the San Francisco Bay Area. So my office is in South San Francisco, California. I also do fertility coaching for my fertility acupuncture clients, or fertility coaching clients that aren't also acupuncture clients who don't happen to live here.
Okay.
I also have some intuitive abilities that I will tap into when needed to help my people get the best results possible.
I'm going to talk about more about that. Okay. So, there's a lot of acupuncturists out there. And sometimes people think of acupuncture, they just think, well, I've got a frozen shoulder. Can you stick some needles in? How is your work different? Because I heard intuition. I know you use crystals, you work with guides and energy. So how is working with you different?
Oh, okay. So there is that approach to acupuncture where some people do acupuncture very physically. Oh, you have a back pain, we'll put some things in your back and your back pain should go away.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I have interesting ability to actually tell when I touch someone where their pains are, how it feels to them. So they don't really have to tell me much because they'll just say my back hurts and they don't have to be super specific because once I get them on the table and touch their back, I can say, oh, this part's sore, this part's tight, this part's overused, or I can tell your sciatica is going down, past your hip into your thigh or down into the calf, whatever it happens to be. So I think that helps patients a lot because a lot of times when we're in pain, we're not super in touch with our body. So you can say, oh, my back hurts, but you can't really be super specific because you don't want to be super feeling what you're feeling, right? Oh, my back hurts. Why would I really want to get into that?
Mhm.
Which can make it hard if you're purely a physical acupuncturist because then you think, oh, well, if I don't know exactly where the back pain is, I can't really treat it that well. But you don't have to tell me exactly where your pains are because I
Just
can just
know.
feel where they are.
Do you like feel like intuitively, or do you feel through your fingers? Like, when you say you feel, that's fascinating to me.
That is a tough question because I think it's both. I think I
Okay.
do have a feel in my fingers for what I suspect is bioelectricity. So we call it chi moving through acupuncture channels, but we do know that there is electricity on the surface of our skin. Just naturally speaking, everyone has it. And our nerves, of course, operate via electrical current as well. And when I touch skin, I can tell where there's kind of like a nerve dysfunction. So when there's inflammation and the nerves freaking out, I can tell that that's happening there. So that's how I can tell, oh, how far down the sciatica is going today.
Yeah.
Because I can feel it. I can actually, there's a difference when I touch someone on their skin. I know it's not normal. It also helps when there's a nerve dysfunction, like a numbness. Because
Mhm.
sometimes when we're numb, we don't really know where that stops. But I can tell by touching, okay, this nerve is normal here, or no, this is not normal here, and that extends to about here. I
Yeah.
can touch and tell.
That I've never heard of an acupuncturist doing that. That is so fascinating. Okay, so how do you bring in, your intuitive guidance, or, you use a lot of crystals. So how do you work with that because maybe not every patient wants them, but maybe some would be like me. I'm like, oh, you got a hit, tell me, right? Or is there a crystal for this? So tell us how that works for you.
So that is always up to the patient, of course, because we're not always ready for
Yeah.
deeper healing that's past the physical. So of course I can treat the physical. Obviously it's very easy because I can just feel it with my fingertips, what's
Mhm.
going on, where the pain, where the tension is, no problem. But often when we have pain, it's caused by things that are not purely physical. Of course, if you fall and hurt your back, you're gonna have back pain. But sometimes we have pains that are caused by non-physical things. So if you are willing to get into it, we don't even have to talk about it very much. I just need a word or two on maybe the emotion because it's not therapy. We don't have to talk for an hour or half an hour. We don't have to super get
It's
into it, but just be
energy.
like, I feel sad, I feel frustrated, whatever. Um, and then I can tap in and whatever it happens to be, there are acupuncture points. There are
Mhm.
crystals that can rebalance energy and emotions. Sometimes I'll use sound therapy. I have Tibetan sound bowls in every room, which people find very soothing.
Yeah.
So it's nice because we don't have to super get into the how or the why of past stories. We just maybe identify the feeling that we currently have that we don't really want anymore, and that's all we
Hmm.
really need to do to kind of work
Well,
on it.
it's so nice because we spend so much time in our heads, and so it sounds like people come to you and they just get to be nurtured, and they can move things in their body easily.
Yeah, we don't have to go through the trauma to clear it, which
That
is
is
really
so
nice,
nice. So
right?
nice. Okay, so let's talk about fertility because that is near and dear to my heart. You know, I got pregnant because of an acupuncturist. And so when I hear your work with fertility, because I know the pain of struggling with infertility, how does that work?
Okay. It's an important question to ask because when I work with patients, it's really different from when, say, an IVF doctor works with
Mhm.
patients. So when you work with an IVF doctor, they're like, "We'll give you some medicine and we'll force some eggs out and we'll see what we get with that."
Right.
When we work with me, I try to get your body healthier so that you can have a better result. Because the doctors, the fertility doctors, don't usually work to get your body healthier. They're just like, "We'll see what kind of eggs we can force out. We'll just give you a
Right.
bunch of medicine. If that
Right.
doesn't work, we'll give you more next
Right.
time." And so the results typically aren't that amazing because I believe if our bodies are healthy and happy, they naturally want to reproduce. So if we had the energy to
Mhm.
make eggs and have babies, we would do it. But often with life nowadays, we're very tapped out and overworked and overburdened, and our bodies don't have the resources to kick out great eggs every month. And that's why they don't do it. Not because they don't want to, because they don't have the energy to. We can't. We don't have the amount of health that
Right.
we would optimally like to have before committing to growing a 9-month baby in our belly. So I don't I can't force your body to do anything with acupuncture and herbs and coaching. I just work to nurture your body to make you as
Mm.
healthy as possible because I believe when we are healthy and happy and glowing with energy, our body will naturally
Knows
want to
what
get
to do.
pregnant. Right?
Yeah.
When we have the energy and our body feels good, oh sure, I can grow a baby, then we do that. But forcing it doesn't really get the best result when it doesn't feel ready.
Well, especially when you go the medical or the reproductive endocrinologist route, it's thousands and thousands, and it's really hard on your body and your psyche. There's nothing that's nourishing about that. It's just oftentimes the last course, people are just desperate and miserable, so they go with you. Because I know, like, how long do you? I mean, I know everybody's different, but how long generally does it take? Is it like a 3 month, or like how long does it take for people's bodies to get a little bit more? And again, I know that's case by case, but what do you see?
Yeah, it's of course it'll depend, but I'll say that usually after, 4 weeks, the first cycle, we see a slight change and the patients are like, "Oh, it's because of this or that maybe." And I'm like, "That's fine. Okay, we'll keep going." After the second month, second cycle, they'll see a change in how their cycle is. And I'll tell them what's more positive, like what we're going for, what's a good sign.
Yeah.
So we changed the cycle pretty quickly, but it's always hard to tell exactly how long it'll take your body to get to the point where it feels comfortable and nourished enough to support that baby because growing it is a long process. So I would say, after 3 months, we feel good, you know, and then, somewhere hopefully between 3 and 6, or sometimes earlier, we're pregnant. But of course, it'll always vary.
Yeah,
I
certainly,
can't give
certainly,
solid
certainly. Right,
timelines.
right, right. But generally, after 90 days, the body is restored such that it might be able to better chance with you than the reproductive endocrinologist. I would say you can't say that, but I would
I
say
can't technically
that.
promise that, but you do feel different after 3 months.
Yeah.
Whereas usually when you go see the reproductive endocrinologist, you don't typically feel
Yeah.
different in
Yeah.
your energy and your positivity and how your body functions. You're like, I think I feel kind of the same. Maybe my labs look a little different, but I don't feel amazing. Whereas after 3 months of acupuncture and herbs, generally the body feels better. You definitively can say, I feel
Yeah.
good compared to before. I didn't know I wasn't feeling that great. But now that I feel good, I realize
That's so
this is
cool.
what good feels like.
That is so cool. So give me like a case study, like somebody that came in and maybe it can be fertility or not, just other like what's a client that you just go, oh, this is so fun. This was such a cool experience to walk through with this person.
So, well, I'll go with a simple one because it has easy metrics to follow. Because
Yeah.
we like to
Yeah.
see numbers. That's what we talk about. I had a patient who was coming to see me for back pain. She's 37 years old. We'll call her Amanda.
Mhm.
And we were treating her back pain. She was feeling better, but one day she came in and she looked really sad. And she wasn't usually sad. So I said, "So, Amanda, was something going on? Because your back's feeling better, but you don't seem to be in, the most amazing mood today." And she said, "Oh, yeah, I'm really disappointed because I didn't tell you, so I didn't know. I tried to do egg freezing, and they were supposed to take my eggs this week, and
Mm.
they had 5, so they're not doing it because that's not enough to freeze." And I'm 37. I'm not dating anyone. I feel like this is my last chance to put some eggs in the bank to have babies of my
Yeah.
own.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sorry, I get a little emotional.
Yeah.
So I said, well, if you feel like this is your last chance, how about let's try acupuncture every week, once a week for 12 weeks. We'll give you herbs. You're going to take them twice a day, every day for 12 weeks.
Mhm.
And try it again in 3 months. Because if you feel like this is your last chance, what do you
Right.
really
You
have
can
to lose?
work
You
with
don't
it.
want to regret it, right? Like let's give it a good shot. Let's give your body some resources and see if it can do better for you, if we support it a little bit. And so she was very diligent. She took her herbs every day and she came for acupuncture every week. And we, switched from back pain to a fertility focus.
Mhm.
And um, she tried again. So, of course, she was 3 months older, and Western medicine will always tell you, oh, you're older, so your results aren't going to be as good because you're older and
Yeah.
you just
Yeah.
don't have as much going on in your body. You need to do this right now, not in 3 months, right? You always hear that when you're looking at
Right.
Western fertility treatments. You need to do this right now. You will only be older later, and you shouldn't wait because your results won't be as good. She was 3 months older, yes, but her results were she got 13 eggs out of her cycle because we treated her body well, we gave her good resources to work with, and her body felt better. So it was able to put those resources into producing more eggs for her. And 13 eggs is enough to freeze because
Yeah.
5 isn't. We probably won't get a viable embryo out of just 5 eggs, which is why they wouldn't do it. But 13, you can probably get a baby out of that.
That's magnificent. And I love that you get choked up because that's how much you care, right? And that comes forth in. And so, when a question I always ask people is like, why you? If there was 100 other acupuncturists in the room, why you? And part of it for me is because you're teared up because it's so, this is your soul's work, right? How would you answer that question? Why you? Why should somebody work with you?
I do have that energy stuff and I do have that intuition and I do care a lot, which is all good and fine. But I also have this ability to explain things to my patients, which I think is really
Mm,
important because whether you're going through pain treatment or fertility treatment, a lot of the time you have no idea what your doctor is talking about. You
right,
know,
right.
right? There's this X-ray I found, blah blah blah, and yakety schmackety. I have no idea what they'll bring in the report. I don't know what they were talking about, or
Yeah.
like I'll bring in the blood test. What does this really mean? They said it was bad. I don't know. What is on the scale of bad, or it said it's fine. What is that? How does that compare? What does that really? Where am I for an average? What are my results that I should expect? And they don't know, even though no one told them not to ask questions. They can't understand the words that are
Mhm.
being said to them. It's all in medical blah blah. And I have worked really hard to really make things understandable for patients, right? Like I want you to know what's happening with your body so that you can make an informed decision. It's pretty simple, but most of the time I feel like when you go to the doctor, you have no idea what they just said to you. So how do you really, you don't know what's happening. How do you decide what's the best thing to do? And nowadays it's really on the patient, right? You can't really trust the doctor to know all the things and explain everything to you and make the best decision for you. Unfortunately, they're very busy. And we have to educate ourselves on how to best care for ourselves and be a participating member in our wellness.
You really have the mind, body, spirit, right? You help with the like, here's what this means. This, let me give you some peace. Let's go through it together. Because a lot of acupuncturists don't have that. And then obviously the body, then the spirit, because you work in the energetics, right? And you sometimes bring new life in with the fertility. So, oh man, so you're in San Francisco and yet you can do the fertility stuff virtually. Is that right? Some of the coaching?
Yeah, so I will do, we call it virtual, I guess. We'll do it online so I can send out modules that are educational with videos and PDFs and things like that, audio files, and we'll just check in on how it's going with, because the coaching is about, again, learning how to take best care of your specific body. There are lots of different bodies. What's good for her might not be good for you. What's good for her fertility might be not so good for your fertility, right? Which is why you can go on the internet and look up all of the things, but you might not get the best answer for you. And we don't have a lot of time to try this for 6 months and then that for 6 months and another thing for 6 months. Like it's really nice to have that guidance, be like, well, for your body type, this is probably what's best.
Yeah.
So let's do that. And you'll see some change after a couple of months when you do the right thing for your body.
So yummy. Well, what a delight you are. And I'm thrilled that people are going to get to see this and hopefully work with you and either end the suffering or bring about the new life that they're trying to create. So anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
I just want to say that there's always hope because some women are so sad. They've had so much bad news. They've gone through so much in an attempt to try to get pregnant. And I know that can be really demoralizing, right? And dehumanizing. And when you do IVF, you're treated like a number or a sheep or something. It doesn't feel good, right? So
I've been
I,
there. I
if
know.
it's what
That's
you need to know, keep trying.
yeah, that's right. That's right. Go see her. All right. This was fabulous. So good to connect with you and get your work out in the world, Dorothy. All right, Dorothy Pang. And what's your website?
Oh, www.acuspa.net, ACUSPA.net.
All right.